NINJAKEES.
Yo ninjas, thank you very much for all the donations. Now I finally got my own swimming pool. So from now on you will see me vlogging in this and streaming. So yeah, sit back, relax and enjoy this video. Yo ninjas, so right now we're gonna draw Curly Skullhead from Party Time, the manga that I'm currently creating. I already inked and sketched this piece and right now gonna color it with Copic markers. I really enjoy coloring with Copic markers because it has a certain type of look that it gives, and also like Shonen Jump manga have like these types of how it looks like in the end, you know, like One Piece, Dragon Ball, Naruto, all those Shonen Jump stuff. I try to implement certain types of elements to get a certain look out of it, and yeah, so that's why I mainly use the Copic markers as well, to get this certain look to it, the traditional way. Also sometimes I can ink with watercolors, but I haven't used that in a while, so might do future Party Time drawings also with watercolor colors. Like with water. Yes, some water, mate. Water. So recently I got this question at the pool from a viewer that asked a question about the drawings. So the question was, how do you know when your drawing is finished? So how do you know that? Well, how I do it is basically I just draw the drawing, color it, and yeah, how do you really know it when it's finished? That's a really good question. And this water is wet. This water is pretty wet. But so when do you know when your drawing is finished? Well, basically how I do it is I just color the drawing in until I think myself, critique myself when the drawing is finished, basically. Like, how do you really know it? I guess it is different for each artist, and yeah, how I go for it is like, first I put the main colors on it, like the flat colors, then I put the shadows, and then a bit of lights, like for example on this piece I did on one of the sides more yellowish colors, like a yellow type of light is shining on the character, and then from the other side an other color of light is shining on the character, like a more of a purple bluish light. And basically, so when I have to finish the flat colors, then the shadows, and then the tones and everything, the lights, then after that I put on the highlights with white type of pens or markers, pencils, to make a bit of that lightness into that piece. And then when all that is done, I mostly think it's finished, put like the date on it, because I think it's important to put the date on your drawing, because then you know when you drew that drawing, and then you can look back after years and can see how your improvement went from where you are later in the years, and then you can look back at your drawings and can see your process, how where you stand at that point in time. And then yeah, when that is when the date is put there and I don't see anything else that needed to be added, then mostly I am mostly done with the drawing. And sometimes I don't like my drawing, so you can always make a second version or more versions of that type of drawing. I'm not too sure if this drawing went the way I wanted to go. Like at first it went pretty okay, but I'm not too sure if the lightning and like the yellowish lights and the purplish lights, if that was the right choice for that piece. But I think it gives some kind of a certain look to it, and it's also like a sort of an experimentation for this drawing to see what you can do with these types of colors. Like I might went too dark at some places, but you could edit it a bit digitally. And yeah, so after that piece is done traditional, I also scan it in and then adjust a bit of the color so it is a bit like the traditional piece. Because with the Copic markers, it's sometimes the colors don't come out nicely when you scan it in raw. So you have to do some edits here and there on Photoshop to make it look like, yeah, like the traditional piece, how you want it to look like. Sometimes that is also the reason why you have to go extra miles with the Copic markers over the same places, so when you scan it scans in the right colors that you want there to be in that certain piece that you're drawing. For example, this piece. So yeah, that's mostly how I went with this drawing. I'm not too sure if that answers the question of when do you know when your drawing is finished. I think sometimes it depends on the artist, you know, how far they want to go with a certain piece. I think it also depends on the situation you go with the piece, how big is the piece, how long you want the piece to be, to how much time do you want to put in that piece. Because in this piece, for example, I give myself like a few hours, or like for this one I think I was 2-3 hours to color this fully. And then you also have the inking part and the sketching part, and the sketching part is for me the most difficult part. Like that is mostly the brain thinking in that piece. That is like the most thinking of the piece, and when you're done with the sketch you have the right lines, then it's basically more mindless drawing. I mean, you don't have to think a lot in that stage. So that's also when you can listen to podcasts and other stuff. But when I draw the sketch, I'd rather not listen to other people talking, so that I can focus on getting the sketch right. And then when inking the piece, it's more loose, you know, you can listen to other stuff. Sometimes I also don't listen to any music because yeah, sometimes it depends on the mood where you're in with, you know. And also with coloring, it's also less thinking. Like you can also listen to other stuff. Also depends on the mood, of course, but it's less thinking for me at least when coloring. And I think coloring is also one of the most enjoyable parts of making that piece. Actually, every part is enjoyable, but yeah, I also enjoy inking and stuff. All have their own specific enjoyable point to those stages you're in when you draw such a piece. So I hope this answers your question. If you have more questions in that type of direction, or if something wasn't clear, you can just let me know in the comments below to make it more clear up in a next video about when do you know when a drawing is finished. And if you are an artist or some kind of a creator, when do you think yourself when you're finished with a certain type of piece? So yeah, drop it down if you want to, and thank you, man. Also, thank you viewer for the question. I hope this answers your question. If it was not clear enough, you can just type down in the comments to make it more clear up in the next video, or I can just type it in the comments if you, yeah, that's also a possibility. So I got another question from a viewer, and that is, how do you know what color to use in this piece? What I have is like a supply of Copic markers making this piece, and what I do, I have some kind of idea what type of colors I want to use in this character, and I just randomly pick colors that I think that suit with this character. Like, it's not a specific number or anything like that, it's just I look at the colors and I think this color suits with this, and then like mostly I use first lighter colors, then go darker, 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 and then at the end I put on highlights. Or that's how I mostly go with coloring with Copic markers. But I don't mostly use a specific type of color palette that I need to only use these types of colors. It might be handy for some things like that you, yeah. I'm not too sure how you guys deal with Copic markers. Maybe it's more handy to actually have a certain set or numbers that you use for a certain type of character and for which parts you want to use that. But for now, with this piece I did it more improvised, you know, just that I think that fits with this type of character. Yeah, I already made more colors of this piece, and I have mostly the general idea what I wanted to put on this piece with the colors. Only the thing with this one is I'm not too sure if the lights from the yellow and purple-ish was the right choice to go for. But yeah, man, that's how I mostly went for picking colors for this piece. Yes. If it was not clear enough, you can just drop down questions in the comments below. Yes, ninjas.
like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell. Thank you very much. NINJABOX, digitally, and see you guys next time. Peace out.
Yo ninjas, also check out the other episode of NINJAKEES.